All right, we're going to work through another example of completing the square. So again, the first thing we need to do is move our constant term over to the other side. So 10x squared plus 10x is equal to positive 7. Now we will need to add our b over 2 squared term to both sides. Uh, 10 over 2 is 5, so our term here is going to be x plus 5 squared. Now 5 squared is 25, so 7 plus 25 is 32. Square root both sides. X plus 5 is plus or minus root 32. You can subtract the 5. And if we do a little simplifying on our root 32, 32 is made up of 16 times 2. Square root of 16 is 4. 2 has to stay inside. Now we don't have any i's, so that means we will have 2 real solutions here. So if we're trying to identify whether solutions are real or not, we're going to use part of the quadratic formula, something you need to know if you don't already. You can check out YouTube. I'm pretty sure there's probably hundreds of different people creating songs to help you remember the quadratic formula. So the quadratic formula, the part under the radical sign, the b squared minus 4ac, is called the discriminant, and its value will determine whether the solutions are either real or non-real. So if our discriminant is greater than 0, we'll have 2 real solutions. If it's equal to 0, 1 real. And if it's less than 0, we'll have 2 non-real solutions. So we can use these in some word problems to determine some situations. So ball is thrown in the air with an initial velocity of 14 meters per second from an initial height of 2 meters per second. The ball's height can be modeled by the function h of t is equal to negative 4.9 t squared plus 4t plus 2. So we're trying to determine, does the ball reach a height of 12 meters? So what you do is you set the height equal to 12. You're going to subtract 12 from both sides to get our equation equal to 0. That's very important as we work through the quadratic formula. Make sure your equation is set equal to 0. Then find the value of the discriminant. So the key here is when we look at our function at this point, our a value is negative 4.9, b is 14, and c is 10. So that's what we're going to plug into our b squared minus 4ac. So b, 14 squared, minus 4 times a, negative 4.9, times c should be positive 10. Should be positive 10 there. I'm not sure why it's negative. Oh, because they messed it up there. That's what the problem is. Let's erase. So they messed it up when they subtracted 12 here. This should be negative 10. So it's right down here, negative 10 for C. Anyways, so they get 196 minus 196 equals 0. So because the discriminant is 0, the equation has 1 real solution, and the ball does reach a height of 12 meters. So we've got a similar problem here with talking about fencing. We've got an area of our garden. Area is equal to W times 50 minus W, where W is the width. So can the garden have an area of 700 feet? So we set area equal to 700. We multiply on the left side, so we're just rewriting the left side of our equation there. Subtracting 700 from both sides so that we can set it equal to 0. So to find the value of the discriminant, we notice that A is negative 1, B is 50, C is negative 700. So when we plug it in, we'll get B 50 squared minus 4A negative 1, C negative 700. Plug it into your calculator, you'll end up getting negative 300. So because the discriminant is negative, the equation has 2 non-real solutions, so the garden cannot have an area of 700 feet squared. A hobbyist is making a toy sailboat. For the triangular sail, he wants the height to be twice the length of the base in inches. Can the area of the sail be 10 inches squared? So we have to remember area of a triangle is 1/2 base times height. Well, we're checking to see, can the area be 10? When our height is twice the length of the base. So if I'm calling the base b, my height would be 2b. This gives me the equation 10 is equal to b squared. 1/2 times 2 gives just 1. So now we want to subtract the 10, or you can subtract the b squared, either way. I subtracted the 10 and then rearranged my equation. So I ended up with b squared. I've got no b term, and then subtracting 10 is equal to 0. So now my a is 1, b is 0, c is negative 10. So I take my b squared minus 4, a is 1, c is negative 10. I ended up with an answer of positive 40. So yes, since it's a positive answer, that means there's two real solutions. It can have an area of 10 inches. So the one way that's always going to work for you to find solutions to a quadratic equation is to use the quadratic formula. Quadratic formula is here. Again, if you don't know it, you need to know it. X equals negative b plus or minus square root b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. So first thing you do is write your equation, set it equal to 0, figure out what your a, b, and c are. So a's coefficient in front of x squared is negative 5. B, the coefficient in front of x, negative 2. C, sorry, it's not a coefficient, it's just the whole number, negative 8. And then you plug it into the formula and simplify. And you can check these by substituting the values in to make sure they work. We're not really going to do that most of the time because it takes a lot of time. So we're going to focus just on making sure you can solve it. So first thing we need to do, write the equation so that we're equal to 0. So we'll add 1 to get 4. Now we use the quadratic formula. So pay attention, a is 7, b is 2, c is 4. We plug it in. Negative b, so negative 2 plus or minus b squared minus 4a, 7, c, 4, all over 2 times a, which is 7. So we have negative 2 plus or minus. Plug this into your calculator, you'll come up with negative 108 over 14. You can simplify your your root there. You'll come up with 6 root 3. Then we can simplify from there. Everything can get divided by 2. We'll get negative 1 plus or minus 3 root 3 over 7. This is okay. I am perfectly okay with you just having this as your answer. If they want you to break it apart, you'll get negative 1 plus 3i root 3 over 7 and negative 1 minus 3i root 3 over 7. But again, I'm perfectly fine with you leaving your answer just like that. All right, 2 more quick examples. So we're already set equal to 0, so we can just plug it in. A 6, b negative 5, c negative 4. So x equals negative b plus or minus square root b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. So this is giving us positive 5 plus or minus. Eventually you'll get there to square root 121. Oops, I forgot to put in my a. That's 2 times 6. All over 12. Well, lucky for us, the square root of 121 is 11. So since we will have 2 real solutions here, we can go ahead and break it up. So we can say 5 plus 11 over 12, which would be 16 over 12, which reduces to 4 over 3, or 5 minus 11 over 12, which is negative 6 over 12, which is negative 1/2. So those are the 2 solutions that we have there.